Greetings, my young friends. So we've moved into Lucy Lind Hogan's book, Graceful Speech, and looks like she might end up being the most explicitly theological of the homiletical texts that we're reading. She starts off with the doctrine of the Trinity, and there's a lot to be said here. I'm going to cut to the chase. Bottom of 6, about 6 lines from the bottom of 6. The doctrine of the Trinity declares that we know God because God makes God's self known to us, Revelation, through God's saving acts in the world, but especially in the life, death, and resurrection of Jesus the Christ through the power of the Holy Spirit. The doctrine of the Trinity tells us both about the immanent Trinity, I'm going to talk about that in a minute, she tells us God's eternal being and inner life, and the economic Trinity, that is salvation history, God's relationship with us. This is a typical distinction, and I don't want you to trip over it, but I am actually going to change a word. It is true that this is an idea of the immanent Trinity. The word immanent is often used. But here's my problem. I don't want it to be yours as well. The word immanent, I-M-M-A-N-E-N-T, already does a job in theology. When we talk about God being immanent, or the immanence of God, we're talking about God's nearness. To talk about God being immanent, it's sort of an outgrowth of God, the idea that God is omnipresent. God is omnipresent everywhere, and thus we'll say close to everything, not just everybody, but everything, all of creation. God is immanent. Immanent is often sort of thought of as the flip side of transcendent. So we talk about God being both transcendent, that is, other than creation, other than we are. We might even say maximally or infinitely other than we are. And yet, at the same time, immanent, that is, radically near to us. Okay? They're not at odds with each other. They are saying different things about God. But so usually we go transcendent, immanent. And that's the best use of immanent. When people talk about the immanent Trinity, unless they were to specify this, they wouldn't mean that the Trinity is immanent to everything in creation. Rather, it's a way of referring to God in God's own being, as she says there, God's eternal being and inner life. Since the word immanent already has a job, and she's going to contrast this with the economic Trinity, I propose, I'm not the one who invented this, sometimes people use this word instead, and I like it lots better, the essential Trinity. Then you have a little alliteration, essential Trinity, sort of meaning like God in God's own essence, eternally Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, and then economic, which has to do with God's work in the world, God's labor in the world. The economic Trinity is, God's saving acts, particularly through Christ and the power of the Holy Spirit. The idea would be, we believe that God is essentially triune precisely because of the nature of the revelation we have received from God through Christ in the Spirit. And I'm using those prepositions very carefully. From God the Father, through Jesus Christ, in the power of the Holy Spirit. Now, I'll just say one more thing about this. Probably, to me, the best biblical example of this kind of dynamic is Galatians 4. I'm not even going to look it up. I'm just going to recite it from memory. You can check it. It's somewhere around verses 4 to 6. I need to take a phone call, and I don't know how to pause this. Okay. Hello?
Michael, it's Paula.
Hi, Paula.
Do you have both of my phone numbers?
I do.
Oh, good. So you know it's me.
Super.
Okay, I'm sorry. I had to quickly hang up. They did come. They got the key, and they brought it back. So
Thank,
everything's fine.
thank you so much.
Are you on? Okay. So listen, if ever this key is always here in my house, and if there was ever like an emergency, I can tell you how to get inside my house, and I can tell you where the keys are.
Wow.
Whenever I wasn't home.
Why don't you send me a text with that information? That way I'll have it. No?
I'm not going to tell you right now where
Oh.
I'd rather just show you. I'm not gonna
Okay. I didn't realize.
So, okay, are you back to school tomorrow?
I have every intention of it.
Okay, are you feeling better?
I really am.
Okay.
I really am.
You just had to rest up.
Yeah. And take my medication, and it's really helped.
Oh my goodness, this is not, you have this periodically?
I used to have it every 18 months
Oh.
for a month. They're called cluster headaches because they come in clusters. And I really thought I thought I was over them, and turns out I wasn't. But I will say, as I get older, I have them less frequently, and they're not as intense. So I was a little surprised I had this one the other day that was almost 24 hours long, because it wasn't as intense as I used to get when I was younger, but it was miserable.
I'm so sorry.
No, look,
Is it almost like a migraine?
yeah, it's a form of migraine. Except again, that I don't get them all the time. It was really like calendar work. Almost exactly every 18 months, from the time I was a senior in college up to about 10 or 12 years ago.
Okay.
It was like just clockwork. And then they sort of stretched out more time in between and less intense. And so I've been pretty optimistic. This was the worst I had in a while, but yeah, really, people that deal with chronic pain deal with way more than I do.
Yeah, I understand. I know, but still, not to minimize
Right.
what you had to do, but I understand. Because even this stuff with Tom, I mean, yes, he had a heart attack, yes, he had stents. There are people that are facing much more severe adversities.
Yes.
So, we do what we do. We do what was ever given to us.
Yeah.
And we deal with it. Right?
You're a wise woman, and I say,
I don't know about that.
no, I do. You got to quit. You got to quit deflecting praise. Okay. I want you to quit that.
Okay. Well, I'm still happy to help you.
Paula, means the world.
I'm so excited that the turkey dinner was such a success.
It was so great.
Honestly, and kudos to all those people at the seniors that stepped up to help and do. And I'm not on Facebook, but one of my neighbors called and said, "Oh my gosh, I guess it was such a success, and you should have seen the dining room. It was beautiful, and everyone said this was the best dinner they've ever had."
Wow.
So, and it was good. Yeah, it was delicious. I'm sorry you missed it.
Yeah, me too.
Sorry you missed it. And I got a small confession. Janice told me that Greg has been coming to church.
He has.
I was like, oh, how precious is that?
He has only missed one time since he started, and the time he missed, he was like all apologetic about it, like he had visitors or something. I said, Greg, we're just happy you're coming. You don't have to. Yeah, no, we've had 5 new people that started about the same time, and none of them has missed since they started.
How precious.
Oh my goodness.
Wonderful.
Yeah, it is wonderful.
It is. Okay. I'm very excited for that. I'm very excited. So I'm going to go. You get a good night's sleep.
I will.
And I'm just praying that y'all can feel better. And congratulations on your new grandson.
Thank you.
I mean, he's already 2 months old. And so when Janice said his name's Charlie,
Uh-huh.
I said, oh, is it Charlie Michael? And she goes,
Yes.
yeah. I was just
Well, there's a Michael on both sides, so I can't take, full,
Okay.
ownership.
Credit?
Yeah.
Okay, that's all right.
Yeah, that's all right.
Okay. Well, congratulations.
Paula, thank you.
Yes. Okay. Good night.
You remain one of my very favorite people. So
Thank you.
good night to you too. Hey, give Tom all of our love and our prayers. Okay.
Amen.
Okay.
And for you and Janice as well.
Thank you, Paula.
And I always think of your team, the 4 of you.
Amazing team.
Yes.
I mean, amazing.
Yeah.
I'm just
That's a God appointment. Okay.
Yeah.
Talk to you later.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Well, I'm sorry, but that was good. That's a person. Since I don't. Maybe you forwarded through, but that's a person that used to be very active in the congregation out there, and is just a dear soul. I'm not sure of all the fact. I'm trying to get her to come back, but she has an elderly husband. She's like 70 and he's 93. She's about my age, in other words. And he's not well. And so I think it's hard for her to think about going out to church and leaving him. But she's just been like behind the scenes. Wow. Wonderful. Well, where were we? We were talking about right, Galatians. So in Galatians, we read, Paul says, in the fullness of time, God sent forth his son. Okay. So in the fullness of time, i.e. in history itself, God sent forth his son, born of a woman, born under the law. So we're talking, of course, born of a woman, i.e. human, born under the law, i.e. Jewish, born under the law, and basically comes to redeem us out from under the law. And so Paul uses this verb, God sent forth. It's ex apostello. So it's like the word apostle with post or post office in there as well. And the X on the front means out. So God sent forth his son at the fullness of time into history. And then Paul says, and because you are sons or children of God through Jesus, God sent forth, uses the same verb. The same verb. God sent forth the Spirit of his Son into our hearts, crying, Abba! Abba, Father. Sorry. Crying, Abba, Father. And so what I want you to see here is God is typified as one who sends forth, and God sends forth twice. Once it's the sending forth of the Son into history. The second time is the sending forth of the Spirit of the Son, i.e. the Holy Spirit, but now, we'll say, shaped and contoured by Jesus, the Spirit of his Son, into our hearts, crying, Abba, Father. I'm going to finish this in a second. So, but I got another one coming. Not another sneeze, but another video. So we have there kind of a picture of the economic Trinity, God sending forth into the world. Then the question became for the early church, well, is that Son that God sent forth, is that something other than God or less than God? And at the Council of Nicaea, she talks about the Council of Nicaea at the bottom of 6. It was affirmed that what God sends forth truly does participate in the divine nature. The Son truly is God. And so God sends forth God. In 381, 56 years later, at the Council of Constantinople, the issue of the Holy Spirit came up. When the Spirit is sent forth, is that something other than or less than God? Because a lot of people said it was. Council of Constantinople said, no, what God sends forth is God. So we have this sending forth of the Son and the Spirit, and what we believe is that sending forth into the world of Son and Spirit by the Father actually does reveal something about who God is. And we tend to believe that God is sent forth. Basically, there's not another person in there. That this is a revelation of God's, we'll say, triune nature. God who is Word, who speaks to us, Logos, and God who is Spirit, life-giving, power, vitality. So from the Father, through the Son, in the Holy Spirit. And then our worship is reversed in the Spirit, through the Son, to the Father. And we've talked about that a little bit before. I'll stop this here. That's a long video.